Hey, good morning. So under the camera, you see a finished example of a pop-up assignment. This is an optional assignment. You do not have to do it. However, if you would like to do it and try to do your best work, it is worth 40 bonus points. So I can enter those for you if you would like to do this, and those 40 additional points, or 35 or 45, whatever you happen to make on this, can help to bolster or support your grade. Now, this one is pretty complicated, using watercolor paper for the houses, a scratch board, a metallic scratch board here for this veil of smoke rising from the smaller house. We have this type of scratch board. We also have this multicolored glitter scratch board for what I use here, the bats and the moon, and then more watercolor paper over here for the pumpkins. Does this have to be a Halloween theme? Absolutely not. You want to do an outer space theme, you want to do an underwater theme, you want to do a theme that relates to a garden or a forest or some other natural setting, be my guest, okay? But because this is the month of October, sometimes people do enjoy doing something along a Halloween theme. So that's up to you. Notice that this is not meant to sit on a table like this. It's meant to stand, and in standing, the front part pops out, creating quite a bit of a sense of depth between front and back. And really, there's only two layers here, this layer in the front and this layer in the back. But you do notice there is a little bit of overlapping here between the houses and their veil of smoke. And also back here, there is a sense of overlap, not real overlap, but a sense of overlap with one pumpkin in front of the other two, just like there is here with this bat in front of that bat. So we can use real space to suggest depth, and we can also imply depth by overlapping and varying size, okay? These are tricks that we've been exposed to before. The base on which it's glued, all these elements are glued, is just a sheet of black tag board, a specialty paper, and I've already cut it into the triangular shape that you're going to need, okay? So here's another piece of that folded tag board, just to show that you might have a front and a back. That's two layers. If you wish to use this layer here, you can for yet a third layer. And you see how that is a supportive base for everything that attaches to it, okay? I could even use it this way if I wanted to. Now here I've created a cat, and what I'm going to do is cut him out and attach him to this example, which I have not yet finished. You see I did a decorative pumpkin here using multicolored glitter scratch board. Here I used watercolor paper along with watercolor technique, brush and marker, as well as some pencil work, as well as some glitter on top of that. So this is a mixture of different materials here and some different tools. The cat will go right here in front, and before I cut him out with scissors, and I do want to show you how to cut, I am going to add a little bit of yellow to him, and I'm just going to use a yellow marker, and this can be somewhat suggestive of the moonlight falling across the cat, perhaps. It really does not do much other than just to warm up certain surfaces of the cat. And now I'm going to go ahead, and since that's pretty dry, cut him out. I'll get these other things out of the way and make some room. Now I'm going to cut with my scissors. This is a good lesson in cutting, all right? And I'm going to use the very back of the scissors right here where the blades come together. And that's where I'm going to do most of my cutting. So rarely do I use the whole length of the scissors, so rarely do I close them entirely like this, unless perhaps I'm cutting a straight line, in which case I might use the whole length of these blades. But I'm going to go ahead and pick them up in my right hand, pick the watercolor paper up in my left, and the first thing I'm going to do is block out the image. I'm going to roughly block. You know why it's called blocking, because this is just a block of paper here. It doesn't really represent a darn thing except a big piece of paper. And now that I've gotten rid of excess paper and gotten it out of my way, I can start using the back of the blade. And watch how I'm going to come in here and nibble. So I nibble, and I can see exactly where I'm going right up next to that line. I like to leave a little space there. I like to have the white outlining the black and the black outlining the form. and I nibble, 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 nibble to a tight corner, and then I stop. Now what I could do right now, if this extra paper is getting in my way, which it kind of is, chop it off, drop it away, and now we're free of that. It's not interfering. I could come in here from the outside, snip, two cuts coming together, that piece releases, and again I cut away some excess paper that was getting in my way. Here's something else I can do. I can turn the paper as I cut. I'm slowly closing the blade sometime as I turn the paper. Now I'm nibbling. Notice how I nibble just a little bit and turn the paper with my left hand as I nibble. So you'll notice that my left hand, that would be this hand holding on to the cap, is really helping to guide the paper into the blades as they nibble. Notice what I'm going to do now. I'm going to switch my grip so I can turn this corner easily. There goes my left hand. Here it goes again, having gripped it again in a different spot. Stop. I'm going to pivot. Hold on tightly to the cap with your left hand. If you're right-handed, you're cutting with the scissors in your right hand, and your left hand is holding tight to the paper. Stop. There's his little whisker, or a bit of his fluffy hair. Let me come in here, snip, and drop that piece away if I want to. So you've seen in a very short period of time here some of my tricks for cutting. I even have my fingers underneath helping to support the blade sometimes. So you'll find all of this very useful. You notice I go very slowly around the curves. Here I come in, and as I close the scissors slowly, I turn the cat, stop, turn the cat, around I go, and I'm closing the scissors ever so slowly when I'm turning, and as I slowly close the scissors, slowly cut, stop, there's a corner, gently turn, and now I'm going to begin cutting again and again. Nibble, 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 stop if I want to reposition my left hand. Reposition my left hand, so I stop when I'm repositioning, and now my kitty cat's done. I don't think I'm going to worry about this space here or the spaces between the legs. Those things would have to come out probably with a razor blade, and I'm just not going to mess with that right now, an X-Acto blade. But I'm going to go ahead and glue him down here and see how this looks. Remember that when you glue things down, either with Elmer's liquid glue or in this case an Elmer's glue stick, you've got to first decide where it's going to glue. It can't glue below this edge because that will upset this. This has to sit flat on the table, so that edge must be flat on the table. I think I might go right over here. I've got to see how that's going to position in relationship to the other pieces as it pops up. I think the further to the left I go, the better off in this case. So I'm going to go ahead and put plenty of glue just where I need it. Just where the papers touch. You don't need to put glue where the papers are not touching, okay? And right there it goes down. And again, this is still nice and flat. I have a little extra space here. I don't worry about that unless perhaps later on I want to glue something else to that. Let's see how this looks like when it pops all the way up. And that's kind of how it will look. It has 3 layers. It has the cat layer, a middle layer of this pumpkin done in scratchboard, and then this layer in the very, very far back, okay? So you can see that this will be worth 40 points when it's photographed and turned in, and I can photograph it just like this because the pop-out features of this are really easy to spot as they pop off the surface of the table. This is called a sculpture. This is called a low relief sculpture because it's meant to be seen from one viewpoint only, and that's from the front, and the points or the portions of it do pop off the surface a little bit. Okay, remembering that this is optional, you don't have to do it. Now you try.